Yo, what is up, everyone? Today we're gonna be playing um, Fantasy Idol. I found it on itch.io. I played like a few seconds, but OBS was giving me a lot of issues, and so I cannot buy that. And so played like a few seconds. So far, in terms of gameplay, all I've really done so far is. Oh, I guess I'm tired now, so I need to sleep. I have bought this tool and a hearty lunch. So my hunger is restored or something. So that's going kind of fun. But today I kind of want to talk about like locking in. Because, locking in is very easy, right? I think everyone has been able to lock in, at least for a while. I think the majority of people actually lock in at the start of the new year and maybe right before the new year starts. So everyone is capable of locking in, but staying locked in is actually the hardest part. And hell, I am suffering about that too, because I was like, hey, I'm gonna lean out, I'm gonna get ripped, and I haven't done shit. Like, yes, I have lost weight, but I eventually started fizzling out, and that's no bueno. That's not good, man. Because, like, if you really want to be capable of great things, you have to stay locked in, Like a diet, you could diet all week and then binge, in my case, binge and then ruin all my suffering in one day, right? Because I would eat crazy, right? So I think everyone should really like lock in for sure, but really dial down just how like everyone should really sit down and really see what they're really capable of. Not like what they think they're capable of, but like just by being aware of our own action and our own inaction. Because anyone can focus for 10 minutes, but try focusing for an hour, Because the other thing is, you also have to think about like the quality of the focus, We have to work within our own limits. We have to be aware of our own limits, Because guess what? Our limits really define us. And there's nothing wrong with having limits, man. Like, we're not all perfect. We just have to and it's kind of like a guardrails, And I think, limits are not a bad thing, because within limits, there's a lot of space for creativity. And by that, I mean, like, for example, you tell someone, hey, you have to make a painting with just your pinky finger or something, or just by splattering, no actual control or whatnot, you're gonna get some amazing stuff. You know what I mean? And as humans, I think that's beautiful. We are limited creatures. We're not machines. Everyone wants to be perfect. We could work towards some type of perfection, but objective perfection, I would say, is very... Man, Dick. Oh, my computer's lagging. Of course it is, bro. So it is what it is. I'm not gonna stress about this. I choose not to stress about it. I'm not even clicking anything, and my computer is lagging like crazy. I have not touched shit, and it's like moving like that. So, but yeah, when it comes to locking in, man, it's hard. Because the longer you stay locked in, or in my case, I stay locked in, a lot of noise starts appearing. The boredom, the doubt, the what ifs, like the voice. Like, for example, nicotine, right? Quitting nicotine. Because that's a form of staying locked in to change your life, right? Because it requires discipline. Eventually, a voice starts coming, and it's like, hey, just a little bit, bro. Like, yo, man, like, you just need a little bit. It's not too bad. Because also, I start forgetting, how it was. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know, bro. I'm gonna be honest. I'm so irritated that my hard work evaporated into nothingness. Because I like, okay, speaking about locking in, yes, I decided to finally like start taking social media a bit more serious because there's a lot of things I really want to do in my life. Like for example, I might not necessarily want to make clothes. I do want to make belts. I do want to make like canvas bags because I like the canvas design. But guess what though? I'm nobody, and people buy based off of who you are. Case in point, all these influencers having their influencer brands, and a lot of them are cash grabs. But in my case, you know, I'm building a platform not because I want to build a platform or I'm even interested. It's because what I'm really interested is actually making stuff, you know. I want to make games, but guess what? I watched so much game dev stuff that, you know, from what it seems, most people are in fact failing, not making any money with their games. And, you know, while that is true, right? It could, you know, making the game itself is rewarding enough. I still want to give myself the best opportunity possible. Same thing with making music, you know. I love making music, but it seems like, you know, everyone and their mom makes music, and the people with a social platform are the ones actually performing better than the people who just focus on whatever they're doing. And I tried a lot of stuff with social media, right? Because ultimately, you know, social media is skill based. It's a skill to hold people's attention. It's a skill to stream for hours. Yes, it's hard work, but it's not manual labor. It's a different type of hard work. You know, attractive people, they get that shit handed to them. And I ain't even hating on that, because there's so many attractive people that are just wasting their natural given talent. You know what I mean? So many attractive people are wasting their potential and making none of it. And the only reason I bring that up is because, man, I be hearing people complain so much, bro. I hate when people complain about their life and how they ain't got shit and how they struggling. And I'm like, yo, you have the best opportunity you can ask for in your pocket. Now, while you can't necessarily put your eggs all in one basket in terms of social media, right? You can most definitely treat it as a plant that you water every day. What does that mean? Because the thing with social media, I think it really boils down to two things: consistency, right? Consistency and posting. Or you know what? That's the same shit, right? I think social media boils down to consistency. Just show up every day. That's all it really takes. And then I guess you do need some self-awareness, because if you show up every day and there's no growth happening, then something must be wrong. But I mean, again, you know, when it comes to social media, you're fighting for attention, right? And it makes sense why a lot of people on social media are like narcissists, because it's attention. You know what I mean? Like if you like attention that bad, you're gonna make sure you go ahead and get that attention, you know? And that's why it attracts narcissists. But that's the same reason why like power and status symbols attract narcissists. Why? Because they need attention. And those same narcissists the funny thing is, those same narcissists that be chasing like attention on social media, it's like a damn, what is it called when the same thing that gives you pleasure brings pain? Because the thing is, with social media, you also open yourself. With social media, you open yourself up to criticism. And if you are a narcissist, well, those comments might get to you, man. Like mean comments. But I mean, at the end of the day, though, like, I think it's more of a mental attack when it comes to social media, because if you read like hateful comments and whatnot, I mean, I don't think that those comments are gonna really impact directly your life physically. If anything, it's just gonna impact your ego. And unfortunately for narcissists or people with frail egos, that keeps them up all night. But fuck it though. I'd rather be kept up at night in a nice, luxurious bed. I'd rather be weeping in a beautiful Lambo or luxury SUV than on a public bus, you know? That's way more preferable I'd rather cry while eating my nice steak instead of random meat chuck. You know, that is definitely preferable. I'm not gonna lie. But, you know, and I think everyone has the opportunity for that. Like, because for the most part, everyone that lives in a first world country has a smartphone. You know, yes, you could talk about like the quality and shit, but bro, this shit froze again. Yeah, you could talk about the quality and whatnot of the video and shit, but man, like for example, music, there's people that put out low quality music, poorly mixed and mastered songs that are doing better than these sound nerds or these sound geeks. You know what I mean? Like, no one in the right mind is ever gonna care about your snare being the perfect snare. Like, anyone who has made music, you know, you could be scrolling hours trying to find the right hi-hat, right snare, the right open hat. No one gives a fuck, bro. Like, I bet you people are barely even notice the fucking hi-hat or the snare. You know what I mean? Like, no one is gonna give a fuck about the difference between a ch or a ch or a k or a f. Like, no one's gonna care about that. Like, when I'm producing, bro, sometimes I get caught up in that shit, and I have to remind myself, like, no one gives a fuck. No one gives a fuck. Like, people care about... Hell, people don't even give a fuck about a clean mix. You know what I mean? No one gives a fuck about that either. No one cares. Like, it's at the end of the day, it's as simple as sound good. Oh, you want opportunity to really change your life? Just post, bro. Like, it's don't think about it. Just post 3 times a day, show up every day, just post, man. Like if you're attractive, you don't even have to do shit. Cause I don't even remember her name, just the hot girl who one got TikTok creator of the year, right? And all she did was post a video of someone recording herself posting on TikTok. Yes, she's hot, but guess what though? There's still a lot of hot people in this world that are complaining about their lives and they're not posting. You know what I mean? One of my friends, really attractive guy, and I've been telling him, bro, just post. But he keeps wanting to post these influencer type videos, and I'm like, bro, you know, those videos, they no good. They're not gonna build you a fan base because you're not gonna be grouped in as an influencer, and that's not what you want. You know, you don't want to be grouped in as an influencer because an influencer is just doing hot people stuff, right? You know, you have to talk a little bit. You have to show a little bit of personality. Like, yes, you might get brand deals as a quote unquote, you know, influencer, but you still have to show some personality, because if you are just a quote unquote influencer, let's say you're a fitness influencer and you're not really like talking and making any type of fitness content, you're just posting your body workouts and shit with some music in the background, people are there for your body but not you as a person. You know, yes, you might get brand deals and shit like that because they say, hey, you're getting millions of views, but remember, those people are there for your body. Or if you do like fashion and you're just showing off shit you bought, but again, you're not giving any input as to why you bought it. It was just expensive and you're just showing it off. People are there for your purchases, not you. So, you know, I would definitely say, yo, listen, talk your shit. Maybe be an actor. You could act. You could treat it as acting, but just make sure you post every day. It doesn't matter what you do. Yeah, you might open up yourself to hate, but fuck it though. That's like the risk. Because, you know, at the end of the day, do you really want it that bad? Do you really want to be out of your life situation that bad? Like, yes, you can't count on social media to change your life. But guess what though? Treat every single post as a lottery ticket. You know, it doesn't hurt. Just show up every day. And if you need to, go to therapy, bro. Like, you might not need, because listen, therapy can be like, you just go to like, for example, if you are an insecure person, like, don't use therapy for like depression and stuff. maybe just go to therapy to work on insecurity. You know what I mean? That's not bad, bro. Like, let's say you struggle with posting on social media because of insecurity. To therapy just for insecurity. Talk with them, work with them, because at the end of the day, like as I said, you have one of the best opportunity in your pocket, objectively. You know what I mean? You can't count on it, but it doesn't hurt to try and post. You know, it does not hurt. It can only help you, and treat it as such. I know some people talk about niching down, and sometimes, you know, I've even been guilty of getting caught up in these like, oh, how to grow on social media accounts and shit like that. And there's people whose whole accounts, they sell courses on becoming and growing on social media. But ultimately, I think it boils down to is post every day, right? Don't worry about quality. Worry about quality once you don't have to fight yourself to post. Once you can post without stressing, because I think that's the biggest hurdle of them all, is getting to the point where you can just post and not even use a crumb of willpower. For me right now, yes, I have to use a couple crumbs of willpower. But before, I had to use the whole cake, you know? Why? Because first of all, my mind would be fighting posting. Sometimes I would post and then there's like no engagement, and my brain is like, man, oh my God. But then, hey, I'd rather post than not post. Like, what else would I be doing with my time? Nothing, you know, it doesn't hurt. And just figure out, also, the last thing I would say is just figure out what works for you. Don't stress too much. Just figure out what works for you. Things don't have to be perfect. Just figure out what works for you. For me, you know, one of the advice people were giving was niching down. That does not work for me. I do whatever the fuck I want now. I post whatever catches my interest that day. Right now, I'm on idle games. I might go back to just window shopping. I might go back to looking at software. Whatever interests me, man. Just find out what works for you so that you can post every day with no excuses. Because that's one thing all these people who are successful on social media have in common, is they post every day regardless. Even if you don't want to, you could just say something like, hey, in terms of like short form content, right? Because that's what matters the most, is just be like, yo, how's everyone today doing, you know? Let's use the comments as a community event, right? I just want to know how everyone's doing today, or anything exciting happen. I'm interested in, you do whatever it takes. Just post every day. Even show off what you're eating or snacking on. It doesn't matter, because the thing is, you have to show up every day. You show up every day at your job, right? But the issue is that we as a people grew up, for the most part, being told what to do. And when it comes for us, like, listen, your boss tells you what to do, you probably do it, probably won't fight. But when it comes to yourself and improving your life, you have to fight yourself. You're not able to like listen to yourself the same way your boss tells you to do shit, or your manager. Well, it's not your fault though. That's kind of how we've grown up. That's kind of how like school system works, right? They tell you to do shit and you follow instruction. They don't really allow you to develop your own locus of control. They don't allow you to develop as your own person. Some parents, you know, which I approve of, they get their kids hustling early, you know, lemonade stand, making their own money, making their own moves, because guess what? That teaches you that, hey, you know, it teaches you to take action and stuff like that. You know, and these parents expect their kids to be adults, but they have not raised their kids to be adults. Like, keeping your kid alive does not mean raising your child. You know what I mean? You know, it's your responsibility as a parent to actually nurture your child, not keeping their child alive. That don't cut it. That don't cut it. Like, and then you're surprised when your child ain't shit when they're an adult, that they're magically gonna do shit. Hell no, fuck out of here. That's not gonna happen. You want your kid to really make it in life? Get them hustling early. Get them doing things early. Oh, you want your kid to like be comfortable with, for example, you're a guy and you want your kids to be a constant. You're a guy and you want to give your child, your son, the best opportunity in the world. Teach your kid early to approach girls young and show them that it's not scary, because objectively it's not scary. Like, you know, just like push them to say hi, especially when they're a child and they're not like super neurotic like an adult. Listen, they're gonna thank you in the future because they're not gonna have that insecurity that a lot of guys be having with, you know what I mean? Same thing. Take your kid to fucking comedy lessons. Boom, now your kid is gonna be funny. Like that's what raising a child is to me, is like giving them the skills they need to excel. I mean, putting your kids in sports is one of that. Why? Because they're gonna be fit and attractive and an athlete. And they're gonna value exercise. So that's really all I have to say. I'm just chatting, speaking my mind. But yeah, you just gotta show up every day. You know what I mean? Show up every day. And when it comes to children, man, like, yeah, keeping them alive does not mean showing up every day. That's just your responsibility. That's like the bare minimum, to be honest. Keeping your kid alive. But it is what it is. That's why there's a lot of shitty people in this world, because their parents never really raised them. They just kept them alive until they grew into adulthood. But what can we do, though? That's life. And if that's your situation, all you need is a little bit of self-reflection, awareness. But I know a lot of people have that, and they simply struggle with taking action. And with that, though, take baby steps. I know the ego wants to take large leaps and wants to sprint, but sometimes your best is just a baby step. And it's scary and uncomfortable to accept that sometimes our best is just a crawl. Sometimes it's not even a crawl. Sometimes our best is just a squirm. But, as time goes by and the things we desire, the things we want to happen are not happening, we have to look at ourselves and say, man, we're not as great as we thought we are. We might have to scale down our expectations. I might not be capable of even walking yet. I might have to squirm. I might have to slither around like a worm, not even crawl, just squirm like a worm. And if that's our case and we're actually able to squirm consistently, keep that as our pace. And eventually we try and take a step. If not, we start crawling. But it is what it is. Figure out our limits. And that's it. Bye-bye.